The billionaire did not expect to return home to the sound of choking. He didn't expect to hear water splashing violently or the muffled, desperate gasps echoing down the carpeted hallway of his mansion. But that was exactly what Mark Turner heard when he stepped through the front door on Thanksgiving morning, still carrying the flowers he bought for his mother. He froze. The noise came again. A harsh, wet struggle. Mark dropped the flowers. They scattered across the marble floor as he sprinted toward the master bathroom, heart slamming so hard he could barely breathe. The door was half open. Steam drifted out. Something crashed inside. He pushed the door, and what he saw nearly split his soul apart. His wife, Janelle, was kneeling over his mother, forcing the old woman's head deep into the toilet bowl. Both her hands clamped the back of the elderly woman's neck with terrifying strength. Mark's mother kicked weakly, her arms trembling, her voice drowning in violent gurgles. For a moment Mark couldn't even scream. His brain refused to process the nightmare in front of him. Janelle, he finally choked out. His wife jerked her head up. Her hair was clinging to her sweaty forehead. Her eyes were wide, wild. But there was no panic in her face, no guilt. Only something dark. Something Mark had never seen in all the years of their marriage. "Oh," she said flatly. "You're home early." Mark staggered backward. "What are you doing?" "Let her go." Janelle did not move her hands. His mother's legs twitched again, then slowed. Mark lunged forward, grabbed Janelle's arm, and yanked her away with all the force in his body. His mother slumped sideways onto the tile floor, coughing violently, water pouring from her mouth as she struggled for air. Mark's whole body shook. He knelt beside his mother, lifting her head gently. Her lips were blue. Her breath came in sharp, broken bursts. Then he snapped his head up at Janelle. "What is wrong with you? Have you lost your mind?" Janelle stood up slowly, too slowly. She wiped water from her arm as though this were nothing more than washing dishes. Then she looked down at Mark, her voice steady like stone. "You weren't supposed to be here yet." It was not the voice of a woman caught doing something horrible. It was the voice of someone who believed she was absolutely justified. Mark's breathing turned shallow. He reached for his phone, but Janelle stepped on it before he could grab it. "I need you to listen," she said. "Your mother was about to ruin everything. Everything I worked for." Mark stared at her, unable to comprehend any of this. "Ruin what?" "Janelle, what are you talking about?" She took a step closer. "You don't understand. I was protecting us." He felt a coldness spread through his stomach. Nothing made sense. Nothing felt real. His mother groaned softly. Mark held her tighter. "Stay away from us," he whispered. Janelle tilted her head. "You think she's innocent? You really think she hasn't been planning something behind your back? Mark, you have no idea who your mother really is." Mark's chest tightened. "Stop talking. I'm calling the police. Get out of this room." Janelle smiled, not wide, not dramatic, just a small, unsettling curl of her lips. "You won't call the police," she whispered, "because if I go down, I promise you, Mark, your whole family goes down with me." He froze. Then she said softly, "Ask her what she told me this morning. Ask her why she confronted me." Mark looked down at his mother, who trembled as she tried to speak, yet seemed terrified to open her mouth. Something in her eyes, something fearful, made Mark's heart falter. Janelle's voice dropped lower. "Ask her," she said, "what she found in your father's old study. Ask her why she accused me before she even knew the truth." His mother shut her eyes tightly, tears streaming down her face. Janelle folded her arms. "You want to know why I did this?" she said. "Then ask her what she was planning to tell you today." Mark stared at both women, the wife he thought he knew, and the mother who suddenly looked like she was hiding something enormous. And in that moment he realized something chilling. There was more to this story. Much more. And he was standing at the edge of a truth that could destroy everything his family ever built. But before he could speak, Janelle took 2 steps backward and whispered something that made Mark's blood turn to ice. "You came home too early. If you had arrived an hour later, none of this would have been your problem anymore." Mark's mouth went dry. "What do you mean?" and Janelle slowly reached into her pocket. Mark's heart stopped. Before we continue the story, remember to support the story by subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and sharing it with someone who enjoys intense storytelling. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you walked in on the scene? Mark didn't move. He couldn't. His wife's fingers were inside her pocket, and every part of his body screamed for him to grab his mother and run. But his legs felt like they were made of concrete. Janelle slowly pulled out a small silver flash drive. Not a weapon, not something deadly, but somehow far more dangerous. She held it up between two fingers. "This," she said calmly, "is why your mother tried to attack me. This is why she came into the kitchen screaming accusations at 7 in the morning. And this is why she had to be stopped." Mark's throat tightened. "A flash drive? Janelle, what are you talking about?" His wife gave a faint laugh. "You really don't know, do you? You think you're the billionaire who knows everything happening in his own home. But your mother has been hiding things from you for years." His mother, lying on the floor with a towel pressed to her mouth, shook her head weakly. "Don't listen to her," she rasped. Mark moved closer to his mother, placing his palm on her shoulder. "Mom, what did you find? What's going on?" Her eyes darted anxiously toward Janelle. She stole something from your father's safe long ago. Something your father warned me never to let anyone see." Mark's heart thudded. "My father's safe? Mom, he's been gone for 12 years. What could possibly be in that safe that matters now?" Janelle's expression didn't even flicker. "Everything," she whispered. With a chilling calmness, she walked toward the bathroom sink and placed the flash drive gently beside the soap dispenser. "Your mother thinks I'm the villain here," she said. "But she didn't tell you the truth. She didn't tell you what's really on this drive." Mark swallowed hard. "How did you even get it?" "This house is full of secrets," Janelle replied. "Your father kept codes, notes, instructions. He wasn't the saint your mother pretends he was." Her voice sharpened. "And I think you deserve to finally know who he really was." Mark couldn't breathe. His father had built the Turner Empire, a business empire worth billions. A legacy Mark had always respected, even struggled to maintain after inheriting the reins. His father had been strict, private, sometimes cold. But evil? No. Never. "Mom," Mark pressed, "what's on that flash drive?" His mother squeezed his wrist weakly, her fingers trembling. "Things your father did not intend for the world to see. Things she can twist to destroy this family." Her voice broke. "Mark, she wants to use it against you." Janelle raised an eyebrow. "Against him? Really? Or do you mean against you?" His mother froze. Mark noticed it immediately, the flicker of fear in her face. The kind of fear that told him she wasn't just worried about the family name, she was worried about herself. Janelle took a step closer, her voice quiet but sharp. "Tell him, Margaret. Tell your son what you were about to do. You found the drive earlier this morning. You saw the files. And you panicked. Because you knew that once the truth came out, Mark would finally see the kind of mother he had." His mother squeezed her eyes shut, refusing to meet Mark's gaze. And that silence was louder than any confession. Mark's voice cracked. "Mom, is she lying?" His mother swallowed. Tears streamed down her cheeks. She didn't answer. Janelle folded her arms. "She wasn't trying to protect you, Mark. She was trying to protect herself. And when she realized she couldn't hide what she found," her voice grew cold, "she decided to accuse me first." Mark shook his head, stunned. "No, I don't believe this. None of it makes sense." Janelle took a slow breath. "Look at her, Mark. Does she look like someone who's telling you everything?" His mother's hands trembled violently. "Mark, please don't let her manipulate you." But Janelle suddenly turned toward the doorway. "If you don't believe me, then look for yourself. Check the study. Go. You'll find the safe wide open." Mark felt the floor tilt beneath him. The safe was open? His mother's breathing grew rapid. "Don't leave me here with her," she begged weakly. Mark looked from his mother to his wife, to the flash drive glinting in the light. Everything felt like a trap, but he didn't know whose trap he was standing inside. Mark, Janelle said quietly. Go see the study. Then you'll understand why I did what I did. His mother shook her head violently, coughing. Don't go. Mark's heart pounded. Someone was lying. Someone was hiding something huge. He stood up, legs shaking, and took one step toward the hallway. Janelle didn't block him. She just watched him with a calmness that scared him more than her earlier rage. His mother reached out, her fingers brushing his ankle. Don't leave, she whispered. Mark hesitated. If he stayed, he would never know the truth. If he left, even for a moment, he might return to another nightmare. He looked at his wife. She lifted her chin, daring him to seek the truth. Go, she repeated softly. Mark finally turned and walked toward the study. But the moment he stepped out of the bathroom, he felt something cold slide into place inside his chest, because someone else was standing in the hallway. A shadow he didn't expect. And the look on that person's face told him the nightmare had only just begun. The figure standing in the hallway made Mark stop so suddenly that his heels scraped against the floor. It was his younger sister, Nicole. She stood rigid, her eyes wide with an expression that was not shock, not fear, but something far more unsettling. Something that made Mark's stomach twist. Her hands were clasped tightly in front of her, as though she had been standing there for a long time, listening. Nicole? Mark breathed. When did you get home? She didn't answer right away. Instead, she glanced past him toward the bathroom, toward their mother, toward Janelle. And in that instant Mark realized, Nicole wasn't surprised by what she saw. She was afraid of something else. Something deeper. I heard a noise downstairs, she finally said quietly. I came up to check. Her voice trembled slightly, but her face remained unsettlingly composed. Mark moved toward her. Nicole, something's wrong. Very wrong. I walked in and found. I know, she said, interrupting him softly. Mark froze. You know. Nicole's throat bobbed as she swallowed. I heard Mom screaming earlier. She looked down at her hands. But when I came up, the door was closed. I didn't go in. It was a lie. Mark knew his sister's tells, the way her fingers twitched, the way she avoided eye contact. She was hiding something. But he was too overwhelmed to pull her apart right now. Nicole, listen, Mark said. Janelle found something in Dad's study. Something on a flash drive. Mom thinks she's trying to destroy the family. Janelle says Mom is lying. I don't know who to believe anymore. Nicole's lips trembled, but she tried to hide it. Then she whispered, Do you trust me, Mark? He hesitated. Of course. You're my sister. Nicole stepped closer, lowering her voice. Then you need to see the study. There's something there you won't understand until you see it for yourself. Mark blinked. You knew the safe was open? She didn't answer. Instead, she took a step back, as though afraid her words had already gone too far. Nicole, Mark whispered, what did you see? But before she could reply, Janelle's voice drifted from behind him. She saw everything. Mark turned sharply. Janelle stood in the bathroom doorway now, leaning against the frame. Her expression wasn't smug or triumphant, it was calm. Controlled. Almost rehearsed. Janelle, Nicole said sharply, stay out of this. Oh, so you can lie to him too? Janelle asked. Just like your mother lied for years? Nicole stiffened. Don't you dare bring me into this. You've already done enough. Mark raised both hands. Enough. All of you, just stop. Someone tell me what's actually happening. Janelle stepped forward, pointing at Nicole. She knew about the files before I did. She knew what was in that safe. She was supposed to burn it, not hide it. Nicole's face went pale. That's not true, Mark. She's twisting everything. Mark felt dizzy. Files? Burn what? Nicole's breath hitched. Mark, please, let's go to the study. I'll explain. Janelle crossed her arms. Go ahead. Show him what your mother has been protecting all these years. Mark looked between them, his wife's cold certainty, his sister's trembling desperation. His mother was still gasping on the bathroom floor. Nothing made sense. Every person in his life suddenly felt like a stranger standing behind a mask. Fine, he said hoarsely. We're going to the study. All of us. No, Nicole said quickly. Not all of us. She should stay away. Janelle scoffed softly. Afraid I'll expose you? Nicole stepped forward so fast Mark flinched. Say that again. Janelle didn't blink. You heard me. Mark ran a hand down his face. Enough. Just enough. I'm done with the accusations. I'm done with the hints and the secrets. We're going to the study, and I'm going to see for myself. He turned down the hallway and headed for his father's old study. He could hear Nicole's hesitant footsteps behind him and Janelle's slower, deliberate steps further back. The hallway felt too long, too quiet. Every breath he took sounded loud in his ears. When he reached the door, he noticed something strange. The study was already open. The lights were already on, and the massive portrait of his father, usually hanging on the far wall, was lying face down on the floor. Nicole gasped behind him. Mark stepped inside. The safe was indeed open. Papers lay scattered across the carpet. Files. Photographs. Old documents with his father's handwriting. Mark knelt slowly, his heart hammering as he picked up a stack of papers. Financial reports. Bank transfers. Hidden accounts. And something else, something that made his blood run cold. A list of names. 12 names. Each one crossed out except the last two. Margaret Turner. Nicole Turner. Mark felt the room tilt. What is this?" he whispered. Nicole's hands trembled violently. "Mark, I can explain." But before she could finish, a loud thud echoed from the hallway. A thud that sounded like someone falling. Mark shot to his feet. "Mom," he breathed. And when he dashed back toward the bathroom, Nicole chasing behind him, he stopped dead at the sight waiting for him. His mother was gone. The towel lay on the floor. The bathroom was empty. But there, on the wet tiles, someone had left a message in shaky handwriting using water from the floor. Only 6 words. Don't trust anyone in this house. Remember to support the story by subscribing, liking the video, and sharing with a friend who loves suspense. What would you do if you found a list of names tied to your family like this? Share your thoughts in the comments. And tell us where you're watching from. For several seconds, Mark simply stared at the wet words on the bathroom floor. His breath froze in his chest, the message burning itself into his mind. The steam in the room made everything blur, but those 6 words remained sharp and unmistakable. Nicole stood behind him, hands trembling. She couldn't have gone far. She was barely able to stand. Mark's voice was hoarse. "Then where is she?" The mansion was huge. 2 floors, endless hallways, multiple guest suites, and more hiding places than most homes ever needed. They had no idea which direction she had crawled or who she might be trying to avoid. Nicole placed a hand on his shoulder. "Mark, this message. What if it's just her paranoia? She's been overwhelmed since Dad died. You know that." Mark turned to her sharply. "Nicole, she was drowning in a toilet bowl 10 minutes ago. That's not paranoia. Someone tried to kill her." Nicole swallowed hard and looked away. Janelle had stopped halfway down the hallway. She leaned against the wall, arms folded, watching them with unreadable eyes. She did not look surprised that the old woman had vanished. She didn't look panicked either. She looked waiting. "Where do you think she went?" Janelle asked calmly. Mark glared at her. "You expect me to believe you care?" Janelle pushed off the wall and walked toward him slowly. "I do care. But pretending your mother is innocent won't help us find her." Nicole scoffed. "You attacked her. You almost killed her. Why would you help us find her now?" Janelle's jaw tightened. "Because I know what happens when someone opens the past. And your mother opened the past this morning." She wasn't thinking clearly, Nicole. She was scared of what's in that safe. Nicole's voice sharpened. "You keep saying that, but you haven't told us what's actually in there." Janelle lifted her chin. "Because the truth is bigger than both of you. Bigger than this family. Bigger than anything you think you've inherited." Mark stepped forward. "Then tell us. Right now." Janelle hesitated for the first time, just for a second. Then she looked toward the study. "You saw the list." Mark nodded slowly. "A list of 12 names. 10 crossed out. Nicole hugged herself, shivering. Dad wasn't a violent man. He wasn't. You didn't know him, Janelle cut in. Not the real him. Nicole flinched. Mark clenched his jaw. If our father was involved in something criminal, why didn't you tell me years ago? His wife finally met his eyes. Because, she said quietly, I didn't know the full truth until recently. And when I did, I tried to bury it. To protect you. Nicole snapped. Protect him? You married into this family for the money. Don't pretend you were some kind of guardian. Janelle didn't argue. She simply looked at Mark. Your sister doesn't understand what your mother was planning to reveal today. Mark felt the floor shift beneath him again. You keep saying my mother planned something. What was it? Janelle's lips parted, but before she could speak, another sound echoed through the mansion. A soft, dragging sound, coming from downstairs. Mark froze. Nicole grabbed his arm. Even Janelle's eyes flicked toward the staircase. The three of them moved together this time, slowly, cautiously, toward the source of the sound. The living room was dark except for the faint glow from the fireplace. Mark switched on a lamp. The room appeared empty. Then Nicole gasped and pointed toward the far corner. At first, Mark didn't understand what he was seeing. A trail. A faint, wet trail leading across the polished wooden floor. The same trail he had seen in the bathroom. Water mixed with something darker. Blood. Not much, but enough to make his knees weaken. She tried to get downstairs, Nicole whispered. She's hurt. Mark, she's hurt badly. Mark followed the trail until it reached the doorway to the basement. The basement door was open. Janelle inhaled sharply. Oh no! Nicole glared at her. What? Janelle shook her head. Your mother is not stupid. She knows exactly what's down there. Mark's voice trembled. What's down there? Janelle turned to him slowly. The reason the safe was open. The reason she panicked. The reason she tried to stop me. Mark stared at her. What are you talking about? But before she could answer, a sudden metallic clang echoed from the basement. Something had fallen. Something heavy. Nicole grabbed Mark's arm. She's down there. Mark didn't even hesitate. He moved to the stairs and began descending. The basement light flickered when he switched it on. The air was colder, thicker, and carried a musty smell. Mark's footsteps echoed softly as he followed the dark trail into the deeper part of the basement. And then, he stopped. Nicole bumped into him from behind. Janelle stood at the bottom of the stairs, watching. What is it? Nicole whispered. Mark raised a shaking hand and pointed forward. In the center of the basement, under a hanging bulb, stood a metal table. On the table was an object covered with a white cloth, an object roughly the size of a briefcase. But not the cloth itself. It was the symbol drawn on it. A symbol Mark had seen only once before. On his father's ring the day he was buried. Nicole gasped. That can't be. Janelle stepped closer, her voice low. That, she said, is what your father told your mother never to open. Mark's heart pounded. What's inside? Janelle looked him straight in the eyes. The real truth. The one everyone in this family has been hiding. Mark reached out, his fingers just inches away from the cloth, when suddenly, a voice echoed from the darkness behind them. Step away from that table. It was his mother's voice. But it wasn't weak. It wasn't trembling. It was cold. Strong. And it was coming from the shadows. Mark froze at the sound of his mother's voice. Nicole's breath caught in her throat. Even Janelle stiffened. Slow, uneven footsteps emerged from the shadows at the far end of the basement. The dim light flickered, revealing Margaret Turner, Mark's mother, leaning against a support beam, soaked, bruised, and breathing hard. But her eyes were sharper than they had been all morning. Alert, furious, terrified. Mom, Mark whispered. She raised a trembling hand. Don't touch that table. Her voice echoed through the cold basement. It wasn't weak anymore. It carried weight, almost authority. Nicole hurried toward her. Mom, you're hurt. You need to sit, you need. Margaret shook her head violently. No. No one touches anything. Not until I explain. Janelle crossed her arms, finally ready to tell him the truth. Margaret shot her a deadly glare. You need to leave this house right now. Janelle smirked. Not without finishing what your husband started. Nicole's face twisted with confusion. Will someone please tell us what is going on? What did Dad start? Why is there a symbol on that cloth? And why, her voice cracked, why are our names on that list upstairs? Margaret's jaw clenched. She pushed herself off the beam with effort, and Mark rushed to steady her. But she flinched away from his touch. I told your father this would come back to destroy us, she whispered. I begged him to burn it all, to leave it buried. But he was too deep, too proud. Mark felt a chill spread down his spine. Mom, what did he do? Margaret's eyes glistened with a painful mixture of shame and fear. Your father wasn't just a businessman, Mark. He didn't build the Turner Empire alone. He had partners. Janelle stepped closer, her voice razor-sharp. Partners who didn't like being crossed. Margaret shot her another glare. You keep quiet. You don't get to speak for him. Mark pointed at the table. What's under the cloth? Margaret hesitated. Her breathing quickened. For the first time since appearing, she looked truly afraid. Not of Janelle, not of Mark or Nicole, but of whatever sat on that table. It's a ledger, she finally whispered. Your father's ledger. The original. Nicole frowned. A ledger? Like financial records? No, Margaret said softly. Not money. Not accounts. She swallowed hard. Names. Mark blinked. Names? Like the ones written upstairs? Margaret nodded. The list you saw upstairs, those were only the last names he ever dealt with. But in the ledger, her voice broke, there are hundreds. Nicole shook her head slowly. Dealt with? Dealt how? Mom, what do you mean dealt with? Margaret looked away. People he promised protection. People he promised silence. People he threatened. People he paid to disappear. And people who paid him to disappear others. Mark's blood turned ice cold. Disappear? Are you saying Dad was a fixer? Margaret whispered. A cleaner. A man who erased problems for powerful people long before he became powerful himself. Nicole stumbled backward, covering her mouth. Janelle's voice cut through the panic. You see? I wasn't lying. The truth in that ledger could destroy this family forever. Margaret glared at her again. And you plan to use it to destroy Mark? Janelle didn't deny it. Only if I had to. Mark felt sick. Mom, did you know about all this? All these years? Margaret's shoulders sagged. I knew some of it. Not everything. Not until after he died. I thought I could hide the ledger forever. I thought burning the files would be enough. Nicole wiped her eyes. Is that why our names are on the list? Because we were, what? Witnesses? Targets? Margaret shook her head. Because your father didn't trust anyone. Not even family. Every person close to him ended up documented. Just in case. Mark felt the ground tilt beneath him again. Mom, why didn't you tell us? Margaret turned to him with eyes full of a pain he had never seen. Because I didn't want you to carry your father's sins. And because the moment that ledger sees daylight, every person your father ever crossed will come for you. A long, heavy silence filled the basement. Janelle finally stepped forward. Are you all done pretending you're innocent? Because you forgot to tell him the most important part. Margaret stiffened. Don't. Janelle ignored her. Mark, she said, stepping closer. The ledger is only one part of this. The bigger truth is this. Mark held up a hand. Stop. All of you stop. His voice echoed against the cement walls. I want the truth, he said slowly. All of it. Now. Margaret closed her eyes painfully. If I tell you, your life will never be the same. Mom, he whispered, my life stopped being the same the moment I walked into that bathroom. She looked at him for a long, trembling moment, then finally nodded. Fine, she said quietly. Then you need to know the real reason I tried to stop Janelle. Janelle raised an eyebrow. Margaret pointed a weak, shaking finger at her. She wasn't attacking me because of the flash drive, Margaret said. She was attacking me because I found out the truth about her. Nicole gasped. Mark froze. And Margaret's next words shattered the room. She's been working with one of the names in that ledger, and that person wants you dead, Mark. End of Chapter 5. Remember to support the story by subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and sharing this with someone who loves dramatic twists. Tell me in the comments, what would you do if you discovered your spouse was tied to a dangerous family secret? And drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. For a moment, no one breathed. Margaret's words hung in the cold basement air like a blade suspended above all of them. Nicole staggered back, her voice barely a whisper. Mom, what did you say? Margaret's jaw tightened. Her eyes never left Janelle. She is working with one of the names in your father's ledger. Someone dangerous. Someone powerful enough to finish what your father started and remove anyone who stands in their way. Janelle didn't flinch, didn't deny it, didn't blink. Mark felt his stomach twist painfully. Janelle, is this true? His wife looked at him with an unsettling calm. You need to hear the full story before you decide anything. Nicole practically hissed. The full story? You were drowning our mother in a toilet. Janelle shot an icy glare. Your mother isn't innocent. She's the reason all this is happening today. Margaret shook her head sharply. No. The reason this is happening is because you broke into my husband's safe. Janelle stepped toward her. I didn't break in. Someone left it open. Someone who wanted me to find it. Nicole blinked. What? Who would do that? All three women exchanged a look, each suspicious, each wary, each carrying knowledge they weren't fully revealing. Mark felt the weight of the room crushing down on him. If someone else opened the safe, then who? Nicole's voice shook. Mom, tell him. Margaret hesitated, her lips trembling. I thought it was you, she said faintly, looking at Nicole. I thought you panicked when you found the ledger and opened everything. Nicole staggered back, as though struck. Me? Why would I touch anything in Dad's study? I didn't even know that ledger existed. Janelle stepped closer to Mark. She's lying. Nicole whipped around. Stop saying that. Mark, don't listen to her. Mark raised his hands, his voice raw. Enough. Someone tell me how all of this ties to me being targeted. Margaret leaned against the table, her breath trembling. Because one of the names in that ledger blames your father for their brother's death. Your father had him removed years before he became wealthy. And now his family wants revenge. Mark felt cold spread through his chest. But Dad died 12 years ago. Why now? Margaret swallowed hard. Because they didn't know who your father truly worked with until recently. Someone inside the system gave them access to the truth. Gave them the names. Gave them the files he hid. Nicole whispered. So someone leaked everything? Margaret nodded shakily. Someone close enough to our family to know what to steal. Someone who had access to Dad's old passwords. Janelle stepped forward. And someone who knew where the safe key was hidden. In the drawer of your father's desk. Mark's heart stopped. He knew that drawer. Only two people besides him ever touched it. His mother. And Nicole. Nicole's voice cracked. Mark, you can't think I did this. Janelle's voice sharpened. Then who opened the safe? Nicole stepped back, shaking. Not me. I swear. But she stopped. Her eyes widened. The realization hit her too. Mark whispered, Mom, was the study door locked last night? Margaret shut her eyes. Yes. I checked it before I went to bed. Nicole trembled. Then someone must have unlocked it. Someone with a key. Janelle said quietly, there are only 2 spare keys. Mark turned slowly, dread rising in his chest like a tide. He whispered, mine is in my office safe. Nicole hesitated. And the other one? Mom had it. Mark's gaze snapped to Margaret. She stiffened. Mom, he said slowly, did you open the study last night? Margaret's lips tightened. Her hands shook. Mark, listen to me. Did you open it? He repeated, stepping closer. She squeezed her eyes shut. I didn't open it for Janelle. I opened it to destroy the ledger. I was trying to protect you. Janelle stepped forward, eyes hard. She's lying again. She didn't open it to burn anything. She opened it because someone contacted her last night. Margaret's eyes shot open. You don't know what you're talking about. Janelle folded her arms. She got a message. A warning. And instead of telling you, she tried to handle it alone. Nicole's voice rose with fear. Mom, who warned you? Margaret's shoulders sagged. I don't know his name, she whispered. He messaged me anonymously. He said someone was coming for Mark. He said the only way to stop them was in the ledger. Mark's pulse roared in his ears. And you didn't tell me? Margaret's lip trembled. I didn't know who to trust. Janelle stepped closer to Mark. Now do you see? Your mother has been hiding things. Dangerous things. She might not be the villain here, but she's not innocent. Nicole felt tears spill down her cheeks. Then who sent the message? Who wants Mark dead? Who's Janelle secretly working with? Janelle's voice dropped low and steady. The person your father framed. The person who believes the Turner family ruined their entire bloodline. Mark whispered. What's his name? Janelle opened her mouth, but the basement lights suddenly flickered violently. Then the power cut out completely. Darkness swallowed the entire room. Nicole screamed. Margaret gasped. Something heavy shifted in the far corner. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Coming closer. Mark reached out blindly. Everyone stay together. But Janelle's voice came from somewhere near the stairs. Mark, someone else is down here. Nicole's trembling whisper rose out of the dark. Who is it? The footsteps grew louder, closer, the air tightening around them like a noose. And then a voice, deep, unfamiliar, laced with venom, spoke from the shadows. I warned your mother. She didn't listen. The basement door slammed shut above them. We finished this tonight. The darkness wrapped around them like suffocating cloth. No one spoke. No one moved. The stranger's voice lingered in the air, sharp, echoing, and unmistakably intentional. Mark tried to locate the direction it came from, but the basement swallowed sound in confusing ways. His heart hammered, his breath unsteady. Who are you? Mark demanded, voice trembling despite his attempt to steady it. A cruel chuckle floated from the darkness. The son of the man your father destroyed. The last name not crossed out. His tone sharpened. The one your wife was supposed to deliver to me. Mark's blood iced. He struggled to keep his voice steady. You're lying. Janelle would never. Oh, Mark, the stranger interrupted. You don't know your wife at all. Janelle's voice came from somewhere near the steps. She wasn't hiding. I tried to protect him. You twisted everything. The man laughed again. Protect him? You were paid to marry him. Paid to watch him. Paid to make sure he never found out what his father did to my family. The words hit Mark like a fist. Paid, he whispered. Janelle's breath hitched. Mark, listen to me. The stranger stepped closer, his shoes scraping the cement. Your wife sold you long before she ever loved you. Nicole whimpered in the dark. Margaret's voice trembled with rage. Enough. If you want anyone in this room, you face me first. The man shifted his tone, amused. Oh, I know exactly who you are, Margaret Turner. The woman who hid the ledger for over a decade. The woman who tried to bury the truth. Then he spat coldly. You should have burned it. Mark heard a sudden motion, something sliding across the table. The cloth rustled. The ledger. The man had reached it. No. Margaret screamed. A struggle erupted. He grunted. She lunged. There was a sharp crack, and then a thud. Mark's heart seized. Mom? He stumbled toward the sound, hands reaching blindly, but Janelle's voice cut through the chaos. Mark, stop. He's armed. The stranger exhaled slowly. She shouldn't have touched me. Now she pays like the others. Nicole sobbed. What did you do? But Margaret's voice rose from the floor, a strained whisper. I'm fine. Don't let him have that ledger. Don't. The man interrupted with chilling coldness. Why not? It contains proof of what your husband did to my brother. Proof of the deals, the betrayals, the blood on his hands. Mark clenched his jaw. Then this is between you and my father. Not me. You're his heir, the man growled. You inherited his money, his empire, his enemies. He stepped closer. And now you inherit the consequences. A sudden click echoed in the dark. A gun. Nicole screamed again. Mark, move. But Mark stood still. If you want me, then take me. But leave my family alone. The basement went silent. Even breathing halted. Then the man laughed softly.
Brave.
Or foolish. There was a pause, heavy, dangerous. Then Janelle's voice cut through the air, low and urgent. Mark.
Get down.
Before he could react, a rush of movement exploded around him. Something collided with someone. He heard the sharp crack of bone meeting bone, the thud of a body hitting the floor. Then the gun clattered away. Nicole screamed. Margaret gasped. And a single hanging light flickered back on. The basement was suddenly illuminated in dim, shaky yellow. Mark blinked rapidly. At the bottom of the stairs, the stranger lay face down, unconscious or barely conscious, Janelle standing over him, one hand shaking, the other holding a small metal pipe she must have grabbed from the shadows. Nicole stared in stunned silence. Margaret clutched her ribs on the floor, but managed to sit up. Mark's chest heaved. Janelle, you. She dropped the pipe. Her hands shook uncontrollably. I never wanted this life. I never wanted to hurt you. Yes, I was paid at first. To get close to you. To watch you. To make sure the past didn't resurface. Nicole's voice cracked. So it's true you married him for money? Janelle swallowed painfully. At first. But I fell in love with him. I tried to get out. They threatened me. They said if I didn't cooperate, they'd kill him. Mark stared at her, every memory of their marriage spinning like shards of glass. Why didn't you tell me? He whispered. Because, she said with a devastated tremor, I knew the moment I told you the truth, you'd never trust me again. Nicole looked at her mother. What do we do now? Margaret struggled to her feet. We destroy the ledger. We end this today. But Mark stepped between them and the table. No, he said. We take it to the police. All of it. Everything Dad did. Everything this man's family wants. The truth is the only way out. Margaret's face crumpled. Mark, if you hand it over, our family name will be destroyed. It already is, he said quietly. We just didn't know it. Janelle wiped tears with the back of her trembling hand. Mark, I'll leave if you want me to. I won't fight it. He looked at her for a long moment, conflicted, broken, torn between betrayal and the undeniable truth that she had saved his life. Finally, he said, voice steady, You're not leaving. Not today. Janelle gasped softly, unable to speak. Mark turned to Nicole and Margaret. We're ending this together. He walked to the table, lifted the cloth with trembling fingers, and revealed the leather-bound ledger beneath. Its surface was cracked. Old. Heavy. A book built on secrets. A book built on sins. A book powerful enough to destroy families or save them. Mark picked it up. The house felt still. Quiet. But not peaceful. Because truth isn't peace. Truth is fire. And Mark Turner was ready to walk through it. Before you go, remember to support stories like this by subscribing to the channel, liking the video, and sharing this with someone who enjoys intense storytelling. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you discovered a deadly family secret like this? And don't forget to comment where you're watching from.